The commissioner spoke in between meetings with NFL owners in San Francisco, and after he gushed about stadium plans in other markets, he then called out Oakland for not having a finalized plan and not keeping in touch with his office.
Why would a money-making machine like the NFL decide to throw $12 billion in the trash on purpose? That is the question keeping team owners awake at night after fans abandon the stands forever.
And perhaps the most high-profile business that has been really hammered is the National Football League.
There are still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that the halftime show was the final straw. So, here is the deal. While one stage was pushing people away, another secret show was pulling them in by the millions. Basically, the league just handed their throne to someone else. And that is putting it lightly, for starters. Gridiron's costly blunder. Football is more than just a game in America. It is a tradition that brings families together every Sunday. But lately, that tradition is feeling a lot like a battleground. The league recently watched $12 billion slide off their balance sheet, and the reason is not a mystery anymore. Fans started walking out the moment they realized the league was moving away from the values that built the sport. It started with small changes, but it ended with a halftime show that millions of people simply could not understand. This was not just about music. It was about a total shift in how the league treats its core audience. For years, people tuned in to see hard hits and amazing catches. Now, they feel like they are being lectured by a corporation that does not even speak their language. The financial loss is staggering when you look at the concrete data. $12 billion is not just a dip in sales. It is a sign of a massive cultural divorce. Advertisers are starting to sweat because the eyes they pay for are looking elsewhere. See, the audience for pro football is mostly made up of patriotic men who just want to enjoy their weekend. When the league decided to lean into far-left activism, they essentially told half the country they were not welcome. It is a bold strategy to insult your best customers, but that is exactly what happened. The stadiums are seeing rows of empty seats that used to be filled with lifelong season ticket holders. These are people who used to spend thousands of dollars on tickets, parking, and hot dogs. Now that money is staying in their wallets or going toward other hobbies. The numbers are clear as day. Merchandise sales have dropped by double digits in several key markets. Television ratings are showing a weird trend where people watch the game but turn the TV off the second the clock hits zero in the second quarter. This is a nightmare for the people who sell those expensive halftime commercials. If nobody is watching the stage, the ads are worthless. And get this. The league knew this was coming. They had the data. They knew the risks. But they went ahead with it anyway. Some experts think they were trying to find a new, younger audience, but in the process, they lost the people who actually pay the bills. It is like a car company deciding to stop selling gas cars while everyone still wants to drive them. You might be looking toward the future, but you are going broke in the present. The social media backlash has been just as expensive. Every time the league posts something now, the comments are filled with fans saying they are done for good. It is a total PR disaster that has been brewing for a long time. The $12 billion loss is just the beginning if they cannot find a way to bring those fans back into the fold. But it is not just about the money. It is about the trust that was broken. Once a fan feels like the sport they love hates them back, they don't just come back because of a fancy new app or a cool uniform. They stay away because their heart is not in it anymore. A massive shift in viewer habits is now forcing the league to rethink every single move they make. Cultural clash on screen. The Super Bowl halftime show is usually the biggest concert of the year. But this time, it was the biggest reason for people to grab their coats and leave. The NFL picked a rapper named Bad Bunny to lead the show. Now, he is a global star with billions of streams, but there was one big problem. He sings almost entirely in Spanish. In a country where English is the primary language and the Super Bowl is the ultimate American event, this felt like a strange choice to many. Fans were left wondering why they were being made to feel like strangers in their own living rooms. It was not just the language, though. It was the message behind the artist. Bad Bunny is known for wearing dresses and being very gender fluid in his style. For a sport that is built on traditional masculinity, this was a massive shock to the system. The league wanted to be seen as diverse and forward-thinking, but the fans saw it as a deliberate attempt to push a specific agenda. Yeah, about that. The artist is also very vocal about his political views. He has openly criticized the very laws that keep the country's borders secure. He has even made it clear that he is not a fan of the leadership that millions of football fans voted for. So, when he stepped onto that stage, he wasn't just a singer. He was a political symbol. People were not just annoyed, they were confused. They asked why a rapper who refuses to tour in certain parts of the United States because of his views on immigration was being given the biggest platform in the country. It felt like the NFL was choosing sides in a political war. And when you choose a side, you lose the people on the other side. This is why the walkout happened. It wasn't about being mean or not liking different types of music. It was about not wanting to be lectured during a football game. The fans wanted to hear hits they could sing along to. Instead, they got a performance that felt like it was designed to make them feel uncomfortable. The league's internal numbers showed a massive spike in people switching channels the moment the halftime show began. This is the worst thing that can happen to a broadcaster. When 20 million people suddenly stop watching, the value of the entire program drops. It is a key detail that the league tried to hide, but the data does not lie. Fans were even seen leaving the actual stadium during the show to go buy more beer or just wait in their cars. It was a total rejection of the product the NFL was trying to sell. The crazy part is that there was an alternative show waiting in the wings to catch everyone who left. Internet's halftime hero. While the NFL was losing its grip on the audience, a group called Turning Point USA was ready to step in. They decided to host their own show at the exact same time as the official one. They called it the All-American Halftime Show. It was a bold move, but it paid off in a huge way. They brought out stars like Kid Rock and other country singers who are known for loving the country and its traditions. They didn't push a complicated political agenda, they just played music that people wanted to hear. And the response was absolutely mind-blowing. The numbers were huge for a streaming event. Over 20 million people tuned in to watch the alternative show across different social media platforms. At one point, they had over 10 million people watching at the exact same time. That is a massive number for a show that didn't have a multi-million-dollar advertising budget. It proved that there is a huge hunger for content that doesn't feel like a lecture. People were literally going from the big game on their TV to the alternative show on their phones and tablets. They were looking for a place where they felt like they belonged. The success of the Turning Point show sent a shockwave through the entertainment world. It showed that the old gatekeepers don't have all the power anymore. If the fans don't like what the big networks are showing, they can find something else in a matter of seconds. This is a total game changer for how sports and music will be handled in the future. See, the alternative show was free to watch and supported by regular ads. It didn't cost the viewers anything, but it gave them exactly what they were missing from the official NFL production. The artists on the alternative stage were loud and proud about their faith and their country. Kid Rock even said he felt like he had to write a new verse for one of his songs just to honor the moment. This kind of raw, honest connection is what fans are starving for. They don't want polished corporate messages that feel like they were written by a committee. They want something real. The fact that an independent group could pull in 20 million viewers during the biggest game of the year is a sign that the tide is turning. The league is now staring at a future where they have to compete for their own fans' attention. Future's uncertain playbook. The fallout from this season is going to be felt for a long time, and that is putting it lightly. The $12 billion loss is a massive wake-up call that the league simply cannot ignore forever. Even the former president weighed in on the situation, pointing out that the league seems to be working against its own interests. He noted that the halftime show felt like a deliberate distraction from the real issues facing the country, like the economy and the high cost of living. When people are worried about how they are going to pay for gas or groceries, the last thing they want is to see a multi-millionaire rapper complaining about the country on television. See, for starters, prices for basic goods have been a huge topic of conversation lately. People are noticing that things are starting to get a little bit more affordable in some areas, with gasoline dropping to $1.85 in places like Iowa, but the tension in the culture is still at an all-time high. The decision to lean into the drama only made things worse. They could have chosen to be a place of unity. They could have picked an act that everyone loved, like a classic rock band or a big country star who respects the red, white, and blue. Instead, they chose to be deliberately offensive, as many critics put it. It is almost like they wanted to see how much their fans would take before they finally snapped. Yeah, about that, there is still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that this was not a mistake. It was a choice. Some people think there is a hidden agenda behind why a gender-fluid artist who does not even speak the language was put on that stage. It makes you wonder if the marketing team was trying to pull a move like the one that sank that famous light beer brand. They call it a nosedive. They had a money printing machine and they decided to crash it into the ground. Nobody expected this to happen so fast, but the numbers tell the story. While the league was pushing a message that felt like an attack on American borders and laws, people were reaching for their remotes. What most people do not realize is that the trust is not just cracked, it is totally gone. Fans are looking at the league and seeing a corporation that does not share their values. They are seeing players and owners who seem to live in a different world where they do not have to worry about affordability. Meanwhile, the alternative shows and new media platforms are growing every day. They are offering a product that is down to earth and easy to understand. They speak the language of the fans, and they do not make them feel like they are doing something wrong just by being proud of where they come from. But here is the catch. The alternative halftime show pulled in over 20 million viewers across social media, while the official one was losing people by the second. That is a key detail. It proves that the audience is still there, they just do not want to watch the propaganda anymore. And get this, the crazy part is that the league actually knew this would happen. They have the data. They know who buys the tickets and who watches the games. So why would they slap their own audience in the face? Some say it is because they want to chase a global audience, but they are losing their home base in the process. It is not that simple though, because once you lose the patriotic fans who built this game, you do not just get them back with a few clever ads. The thing is, we have to wonder if this $12 billion loss is just the tip of the iceberg for the sport. If the league does not change its playbook soon, they might find themselves playing to empty stadiums while the rest of the country is watching something else entirely. The fans have shown that they are willing to walk away, and they are not looking back. The ball is now in the court of the league, but the clock is ticking loud and clear. See, it is a mystery why they would gamble with the biggest sporting event in the world, but the results are in. People want music and sports that lift them up, not a show that makes them feel uncomfortable in an English-speaking territory. Basically, the league just handed their crown to the competition. Hands down, this was the most expensive error in the history of televised sports, and we are just starting to see the damage. Does the league have the guts to put the fans first again, or is this the end of an era? Like and subscribe to stay updated on the total collapse of the football empire.